I had a front collision. It wasn't that bad, but I actually pushed the whole front radiator. I should say the whole assembly in the front. He pushed it, and it didn't damage much. I'd be surprised. They only cracked the water pump, which it wasn't spitting, so I had to put a new one. The old one is right here. There's the crack right here. Still spins. Well, maybe now it's frozen because, oh, that's right. Spins, but wobbles a little bit. So yeah, that one had to be replaced. And of course the whole radiator, the whole front assembly had to be replaced. Hood, I got a hood for it. Nothing else really. When the radiator smashed, pushed against this, they actually smashed against the mount to pull the motor out, and that's, let me see if I can show you. These are the old parts. You can see the imprint of the fan, and I was surprised because all the impact was actually in the fan clutch. Let me show you right here. So all the impact was into the fan clutch. You can see right here how heavy duty this bracket is, and it didn't bend. What happened is the clearance was very minimum between here and the water pump pulley, and it actually just flexes. Obviously, you hit it so hard, this plate actually flexes a little bit, and it hit right into the water pump. And this one, the only damage that it did, already had bad bearings. So I replaced the bearings. By the way, this piece right here is about $800 new. If you buy it as is with this bracket complete, it does not come with this spacer right here. So when this thing got hit hard, it actually cracked this lower part where the bearing sits. So I took it apart, I welded it, and bearings were bad originally. I never knew what made that noise when I turned the fan on, or when it was hot, when the motor was hot, then the fan would turn on. It was like a grinding noise, and it turned out there's two bearings here underneath and two bearings in here. These bearings are very easy to find. I'll probably make a video, and I'll put it in the description later on, the models of the bearings that you need here and here. And you can actually do this yourself if you have, what I got right there is a press. You can probably get a press on eBay. That's where I got mine for $200. And with that press, it's a 20-ton press, and you can press just about any bearing. Obviously this is a semi, so it presses this out. There's two small ones here, two big ones here, and I think I got this off eBay too. Yeah, because at the shop they wanted 20 a piece, and online I got them for $5 a piece. So we'll see how long that will last. I don't put a lot of miles, about 200,000 every 8 years or so, 10 years. So yeah, when that motor got hit, actually the whole motor was shoved back. Didn't damage nothing here. Motor mounts are fine. But what it did, or how this is designed, you can see it literally broke the, I don't want to call this a bell housing, but a flywheel housing, yes. Because the bell housing is actually, that's on the trans. So this is the motor mount that bolts onto the flywheel housing. And this is aluminum. The reason why it's aluminum, in case of an accident or hard impact, this motor is supposed to slide under so it doesn't kill you in the cab. So yeah, the That aluminum piece breaks. Show you a closer look. Kind of hard to see, but they're both broken. So I did more investigation. This is actually the PTO that I took off. Gotta be careful not to get dirt in there. To get that oil out, there's an easy way. There's a cover underneath. You gotta take that cover off. I have to take that cover off to check for particles, and I will show you why. This is why you gotta inspect everything when you get into an accident. Accident wasn't hard impact, but it did. This is a one-piece drive shaft, the semi, and what he did, this drive shaft, since the motor went back, he pushed this. As you can see, collapsed this a little bit. And see if I can do this somehow. This is a one heavy piece. As this goes in, oh, there it goes. You can see the splines coming out, and it literally is smashed against this right here. Not that hard. Doesn't seem like it's bent, but I still will bring it in to have it inspected before I put it on. Right now, I'm taking the trans out to change the bell housing, and as I took the PTO off, I did more investigation or look for any more severe damage. Now we're inside where this is the transmission. It's a 13-speed Ethan Fueler. These are the gears. This is where the PTO mounts. If you don't have a PTO, there's a cover that bolts onto the bottom. So if you ever wonder what this cover is underneath, which bolts right here, it's for the PTO. You have one more over here for a different kind of PTO. There's a cover right here. But for this particular truck, the PTO goes here, because this is the bigger PTO for the low boy. So anyways, took a closer look. The insurance didn't know what to do, if the trans is damaged or not. I told them it's not, but now that I took a closer look, you'll probably see what I see, and that is broken gears, or a gear. Let me zoom it in a little bit so you guys can have a closer look. Now this, I do not know if it happened because the accident, or I will not give out names to rebuild this trans, but I will never take it back there again, because I heard they use China gears. You do not want that in this, and I found this out after a year and a half, right after I installed this transmission 2 years ago. Heard a whining noise. Well, at first I thought I didn't shim the PTO correctly, so what I did, a lot of work, took the PTO off, put the cover back on, I filled it up with oil. Sounds easy, but takes a couple hours at least. Filled it back up, I started, the same whining noise. So it wasn't the PTO. I thought it was, but it wasn't. I just wanted to eliminate the noise. So I put the PTO back on with the proper shims. Maybe in a different video I will show you how to put, this is very crucial when you put the PTO. You have to shim it. If you don't shim it right, you will damage the gear. And here, in the main gear, I'll show you which gear. You will damage this gear right here. And if you damage this gear, you have to take the whole trans out to have it replaced. So yeah, I put the PTO back on, I started up. Same thing, whining noise. I called the company. They're like, oh, it takes about 10,000 miles to break it in. Call a different shop. They told me no. They're using wrong parts, aftermarket parts, and they're not. They're designed properly, but not specifically how Ethan builds their gears. So after about 10,000 miles, the noise did go away, but there was a problem, or I found that problem with that gear, and I don't know if that's from the accident or It just broke because this motor right here is actually turned up to 625. So yeah, with a China gear, you could imagine what can happen. So that's all I have for now. If you have any questions about something, leave me a comment. Another thing about this, now that you took everything apart, very common on the N14, the seal right here. This is just the protection. The seal does happen to leak after 300,000 miles. So now is the time to change it. Another thing that these things leak, right here. They leak right in here. This is where, let's see if I can, well, I don't want to scrape this, but right here is all the information about the motor, the specs. I don't want to use a scraper because I'll damage the aluminum and the letters. But anyways, it leaks through right here. So you want to fix this right now, you have to raise the motor from underneath, take the motor mounts off. This, you gotta pry it out. Actually, not pry it out, you gotta use a puller. Press this out, or pull this out. Start taking the bolts off. Take this off. Right now is the time to do it. It only takes a few hours, and it will save you a hell of a lot of time, because if you put everything together and this thing's starting to leak worse than it is right now, you gotta take everything apart. So if you want to fix this, now's the time. Other than that, that's about it. Another thing I should have mentioned, I'll just explain right now. Front motor mounts on the N14, when you have a leak, as you can see there's still oil here, these tend to break apart or break down, or they don't hold the pressure. As this goes down, as the motor goes down, you can see right here is a space for the harmonic balancer. This is the harmonic balancer. If you don't change these on time, what's gonna happen is when you take off, you're gonna feel like a vibration or a rattle. What happens is because the motor mounts are eaten and it starts to go down, this harmonic balancer, it's right here, it actually touches right here. And when that happens, you gotta be careful, because that's not a cheap part. I'm not sure how much it costs, 400 or 500, maybe 700. But you do not want the harmonic balancer to touch this. So always check your motor mounts. Right now, you see the gap that's in between? Looks about a quarter of an inch. When you got about a half an inch, you know those motor mounts on top. There's two of them. You got a rubber at the bottom, right here, and you got one on top. The top one's the one that gets eaten away. Alright, that's about it. I'll make a video about something else that you guys should be aware of.